What's going on, guys? Today I want to take a look at two phones that are under 600 bucks, pit them head to head and see which one is the winner and which one might be right for you. Now, quick disclaimer, I don't make any money on YouTube. I don't do this for a living. I'm just trying to get some content out there for you guys, some more information so you can make a better decision, a more informed decision. As such, the quality is not going to be the greatest, but hopefully the content makes up for it. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First, I want to start with something that's a little bit odd as far as a head-to-head or a review would go, and that's a brief history of both companies. Now, I'm going to do my best to keep this brief and keep the whole video concise. I can't promise it'll be short, because it probably won't be, but we're going to do our best. So, brief history of OnePlus. OnePlus, they're not a scrappy startup, as you hear some YouTubers say, one in particular who I don't think is a very honest person, but that's beside the point. They're not a scrappy startup. Their parent company is actually Oppo. Oppo is huge over in China. So it's not a bad thing at all to have a parent company with that kind of money backing you. It's just if somebody calls OnePlus a startup, they're not. Now, when they first launched the OnePlus One, there were a lot of issues with the phone. Particularly, the screen had like a yellow tint to it. Not yellow tint that was, just like, oh, it's kind of yellow, like the Pixel 2 XL is kind of blue. It was yellow, like you had night mode on. So with that exposed, their RMA process is just awful. You had people not being able to get their phones fixed or replaced, and it was a really big mess and a PR nightmare. Since then, I'd assume their RMA process has gotten better. You have to do an RMA to do a return for the OnePlus, and spoiler alert, I'm keeping the Mi Mix 2S, so I'm sending the OnePlus back to OnePlus. Doing that RMA, they told me that my return instructions would be sent out within 24 to 48 business hours. I reached out on 3 different occasions because I hadn't gotten them yet, and here we are about a week and a half after my initial email, and I finally got emailed those instructions this morning. So just something to keep in the back of your head. May not be a big deal, but as far as warranty issues go, if that's your deciding factor when picking, one of these phones that you're buying outright, the OnePlus does have a warranty, but it could be tricky getting that fulfilled. This is the first OnePlus I've ever bought, so I can't say. Now, Xiaomi, a really high up Google exec, I forget his name, left Google a few years ago to go join Xiaomi. And since then, they've really grown a lot. They're the 4th largest phone manufacturer in the world, behind Samsung, Apple, and Huawei in that order. Number 4 is Xiaomi. They're just not really big here in the U.S. They want to be. They're not yet. They haven't launched anything over here yet. Now they're kind of known as the Apple of China. As far as their phone design, some of them look like straight rip-offs of the iPhones. As you can see the back of this, we've got the dual camera setup and the glossy finish on the back like the iPhone 10. But then their software looks a lot like Apple too. You don't have an app drawer on their default launcher, which is kind of annoying. But you can install Nova, which is what I did. I'm not going to show you their UI. You can look at a full review of the phone for that. Just know it's still Android. You can customize the heck out of it. So that's what I do, and it's awesome. Coolest thing about Xiaomi, and the last little note here on the brief histories, their software is actually crowdsourced. So what that means is they've got forums and things like that where the users and customers go on there and request features to Xiaomi, and then Xiaomi delivers those features in the next version of MIUI or MIUI. That's their Android skin. Excuse me. So that's something I think is super cool. Customers are requesting features and Xiaomi's putting them out there. Just really cool for a company to actually listen to its customers. So that's a brief history on both the phones. I think that's some relevant information to know on both. Let's go ahead and dive into the phones themselves. As far as price goes on the phones, not to be exact, because the Xiaomi, since it's not in the U.S., depending on if you go on eBay or a Chinese website like GearBest, the price is going to vary between websites. Both phones start with 64 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM, go all the way up to 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. The models in front of me are the ones that are in the middle, 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage on the OnePlus, and 128 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM on the Mi Mix 2S. RAM's not a big deal there. 6 versus 8, you're not going to use that. Even if you're gaming a lot on your phone, you're not going to use that extra 2 gigs of RAM. So to me, it didn't matter at all. So price-wise, they'll range from $530 on the OnePlus and about $5 to $550 for the base models. And on the OnePlus, you go up to about $630. You go up to about $650, $700 on the Mi Mix 2S. Again, depending on where you go to get it. I got this one on eBay. It's $580. The OnePlus also $580. So same story there. Let's jump into the display and the design. For the record, price, storage, and RAM, I gave them a draw because they're pretty much the same price, and the extra 2 gigs of RAM does not matter to me. Just note they don't have an SD card slot on either of them, so no expandable storage here. Whatever you get is what you get. Moving on to design and the display. We'll flip these over in a second. Here on the OnePlus, this is the matte black because I didn't want the super high glossy black because that's kind of like what my Mate 10 was like, and that was a fingerprint magnet. You can still kind of see some fingerprints here. I don't know if the camera will pick them up, but this is Gorilla Glass. It's a cool little effect on it. It's relatively grippy, for a glass phone. Gorilla Glass is supposed to be great against drops, not so much against scratches. So I would definitely put a case or a skin on here. I was actually rocking a white D-brand skin for the period of time while I was using this as my main phone. Yeah, just put something on there. You're going to scratch the heck out of it, especially if you're looking to resell it. If you disagree and don't think Gorilla Glass 5 scratches, rock it in your phone for a month without a case or a skin, and then let me know how that goes. Here on the Xiaomi, super high glossy, which I know I said is what I did not want on the OnePlus, but this isn't glass, this is ceramic, and there you can see the camera. So this is ceramic. Now, the cool thing about ceramic, it's very, very scratch resistant. You're still going to, it is more brittle than Gorilla Glass 5, meaning if you drop it, it's probably going to break easier, but it doesn't scratch. It's like an 8 on the most hardness scale. The only thing that's going to scratch it is a diamond. Little tidbit, this wedding ring is actually ceramic. I've had this wedding ring for about a year. I play sand volleyball all the time. No scratches on it still. I wear it while I play. I've rarely taken it off. So yeah, ceramic's been holding up well in the scratch department for me. Flipping the phones over. Last thing on the back though, this will wobble because the camera's offset. Fingerprint sensor, which we'll get to more later. I love the circle on the back. I don't really like this design of how that one is set up on the OnePlus. We'll get to that later on. Flipping the phones over, and you just saw there, this didn't recognize my finger right away because the fingerprint sensor shape sucks. Yeah, so displays, sliding these down from the top, reveals the notch on the OnePlus. Now, I've got the hidden notch feature on. Let me try to refocus this camera here. I've got the hide notch feature on, but you can't change that notification shade background color on the OnePlus. You can on the Mi Mix 2S, but since you can't, I can't make it black, which really breaks the immersion, which when you're trying to hide a notch is a big deal for me because I hate it. People say you get used to it. I never did. Rocked the phone for 2 weeks. It's just an annoyance. If it would stay black up there at the top, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But from anywhere, as soon as you do that, there it is. Maybe they'll fix that in the future. I don't know. They are listening to their customers as far as the notch goes, like the battery percentage there. That says, when you slide this up, it doesn't appear there. They're going to add an option to include it up there on the top display with the next software update. So displays themselves are both cranked to max brightness, so you can see that there. Maybe you can't really see it on the Mi Mix, but it is much brighter on the OnePlus. I never had it above 50% at any point because it's just so freaking bright. It's also an AMOLED versus an LCD, so colors are going to be a lot punchier on the OnePlus. But the Mi Mix 2S, the display is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. So even though the display is better on the OnePlus, you gotta sacrifice the notch. Now, last thing here, to put these phones side by side, you can see the Mi Mix is significantly shorter. And if I can get this in the camera, I don't know if I can or not. The chins. The chin on the Mi Mix is much bigger on the bottom because you don't have a bezel at the top at all, really. Now, why I think that's a good design choice and the right way to go if you're trying to do a bezel-less phone design is because when you're texting, you're on the keyboard, your hand's down here at the bottom of the phone. And especially with all these 18:9 or 19:9 phones that have notches in particular, making the problem even worse. You're down here really close to the bottom, so the weight distribution, the phone feels like it's not comfortable to text. Let's see here. Trying to get the keyboard to pop. There we go. Yeah, it's not comfortable to text to me. I did a video on what was wrong with the iPhone 10. There's like this much white space there at the bottom of the screen whenever the keyboard pops up for that reason. It's got to elevate it a bit. So we either need floating keyboards to come back if this design choice continues, or it has to stop. Or people have to implement this little chin here at the bottom. Just to pull that keyboard up, side by side, if you guys are curious and want me to do that. There you go. But yeah, I really prefer the way that Xiaomi did it. So since I'm putting display and design all in one, I give the display, I think it's even, because you do have the notch, even though this display looks better. And the design, I like the Xiaomi a lot better. I love the ceramic on the back because I don't have to worry about it scratching. I hate cases, so the Xiaomi narrowly edges it out. Through two things, and this is running a bit long already. Let's see if we can speed it up. Cameras. Xiaomi just launched the Mi 8, which has the same camera module on the back as the Mi Mix 2S. So something super cool they did is they said, hey, since this has the same camera module, we are going to push out software and firmware updates to the Mi Mix 2S to give you the same camera that the Mi 8 has. So this camera is about to get a lot better here in the coming weeks. That said, as it stands right now, the OnePlus is a better front-facing camera. The Xiaomi's got a better rear camera. The front camera on the Xiaomi is also here in the bottom right because of the chin. So is the LED notification light. But this one's an easy draw just because better on the front, which I don't care about, but I know some of you probably do. Better on the rear now, and then more so once that update comes, I'm sure. If you guys care about DxOMark at all, you can look at the Mi 8 on there and see a lot of good camera samples and what'll be coming to the Mi Mix 2S. Speed, they're both both have a lot of RAM, both have a Snapdragon 845. I'm not going to do any side-by-side speed tests because I think that is absolutely pointless, because even my personal use and what I've done on this phone versus this one can affect those tests. So they both have an 845. Know that they're both quick. They're both crazy quick. Now, the Mi Mix has much heavier, like the software scan is obviously, man, I can't get that to focus at all. There we go. Let me turn the brightness a bit and see if that helps. I'm running Nova, but their software scan is much heavier, as you can see, like even from the lock screen there. And also the notification shade when I pull that down. Much heavier than you have here on the OnePlus. So, there we go, finally unlocked. Oh, maybe not. Guys, I hate the shape of this fingerprint sensor. I can't stress that enough, and you use that all the time. We'll get to that in a second. So, since this is more stock, and this is also running Nova Launcher, but this feels a bit quicker initially. Now, what I always do on all my phones, with the exception of the OnePlus, I go in and turn the animation effects down to half. But both these phones feel just as fast. Knowing you've got a little more animation just from the software they have here, the phones are pretty darn identical. The Snapdragon 845 is just a beast. So speed's not going to be a problem in either of them. They both are really quick. Neither one of them was lagging whenever I used it. Yeah, I give them a draw there. Customization and themes. Won't spend too much time on this. Easy win for Xiaomi. Easy win. Their theme store is, they've got a theme store. Their theme store is just what's up. New themes are put in here every day. There's literally thousands here. I've got airplane mode on, so it's not going to connect to the network. Duh. Yeah, when I had back in my Galaxy Note 2 days, I was trying to put Xiaomi MIUI ROMs on the Note just to get to that theme store. Let me see if I can access the themes that I've got downloaded or that I've used. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I haven't favorited anything. Anyway, yeah, themes in here are sweet. I've downloaded a few. Most of them are free. This camera's really having a hard time focusing on the screen. They're just, themes on here are awesome. It's an easy one for the Xiaomi. If you love customizing your phone, go Xiaomi. That's what I'm trying to say. So, easy one there. Charging and battery life, I give them a draw here, 3,400 milliamp hours versus 3,300. Again, what really matters is how it gets you through a day. I was getting between 5 to 6 hours of screen on time on both. How I use my phone is different than you use yours. I don't use Snapchat a lot, I know that's a drain. I don't even have the Facebook app on my phone, I know that's a drain. I don't game a lot, I know that's a drain. But I do use YouTube a lot. So 5 to 6 hours screen on time is what you should expect. I use them both between 25 and 50% brightness, depending on the scenario and stuff. So yeah, really depends on your own usage. Maybe slightly better battery life on the Xiaomi. I do let them both sit standby overnight because they charge so fast. I just plug them in before I leave from work for the day. Yeah, dash charging is what's up. It charges in about an hour 15 from 0%. This says Quick Charge 3.0. It charges from 0 to 100 in about an hour and a half, so a bit longer, but you do get wireless charging on the Xiaomi. And if you're buying extra chargers, because this is Qualcomm, you can buy an Anchor charger for $15 that has Quick Charge 3.0 versus the proprietary dash charger. So even though this charge is faster and the battery life's about the same, I have to give them a tie because you got wireless charging on here, which I don't care about, but some of you do. And then also for buying extra chargers, which I keep one here and one at work. You're saving money in the long run there. So that's a draw. Headphone jack. This one's gonna be really quick. One phone has it, one phone does not. You've got it on the OnePlus. You don't have it on the Mi Mix 2S. So OnePlus wins that one. But with that said, speakers, single down-firing speaker, stereo speakers, one at the top and bottom. Similar implementation to Huawei, if you guys are familiar with their flagships. You've got like the high ends up here in the earpiece, and you got the bass and low ends here on the bottom. So both get loud enough for me, but you got stereo speakers, so that sounds better on the Xiaomi. So it's a win for the Xiaomi. Now finally, we're at the end, guys. Finally, the fingerprint sensor, the layout and the shape. My lord. Hate the fingerprint sensor on the OnePlus, and I don't understand why I'm the only person that's saying this. People keep talking about, oh, it's so fast, it's so quick, it's awesome. No, like I haven't used a Samsung phone since the Note 4. I used the Note 5 briefly, but since the Note 4 really was the last one that I used, for a year or so. So I haven't used any of their new phones with the fingerprint sensor up here by the camera or underneath it now on the S9, but it is this shape, and man, this shape sucks. Like, think about the tip of your finger, that's more of an oval than anything, and if you're trying to place it on there, I mean, the other problem is when I would go to hold the phone and do it, my finger was often like, as it slid into place, was like sliding over it, and if it came in at, slid at all, it wouldn't pick it up. I recorded 4 different fingerprints for this one finger, all on here at the same time, and I still have issues, which you guys saw earlier in the video. I just hate that shape. Love the circle shape. If you're gonna put it on the back, make it a circle. If you're gonna put it on the front, like on the Mate 10, which I mentioned I had, having that big oval, that's fine. I didn't have any issues with my Mate 10 fingerprint sensor. But this one's just too small to be that shape. You just got to make it bigger, guys. Haven't had any issues with this one. This one works almost always. This one worked, I guess, about 60% of the time, realistically, where this is closer to 90. Nothing's perfect. It does have it on the back, so that's cool that they even included one. Some people didn't when they went with, full screen designs. Apple. But yeah, I prefer that one there on the Xiaomi. Don't need to spend more time on that. Just know that I don't understand why people are praising this, which is why I'm harking on it so much now. Yeah, I couldn't get used to it. I'm not a stupid guy. I know it's there. I know how it works. Even trying not to make sure my finger didn't like slide in from the side. I've got no problems here on the Xiaomi. So, to wrap this up and give you guys a quick summary, the final score, if you were keeping track, is 8-5 in favor of the Mi Mix 2S. We had a draw in price, storage, and RAM options. We had a draw in cameras, front versus rear, 1-1 in each of them. A draw in speed with the Snapdragon 845, and a draw in charging and battery life, because a little bit faster versus wireless and not proprietary. Now, the OnePlus pulled away with a clear victory in the headphone jack, and that was it. The display and the design overall, I prefer the Xiaomi. I also prefer it with the speakers and the fingerprint sensor and the customization and themes aspect. So, OnePlus is still a great phone. If you guys don't care about the notch, which I know a lot of people now don't because so many phones have it, then the notch isn't going to bother you, and the display itself does look better to me. I love AMOLED, and I have since back S3 Note 2 days when Samsung really started doing them and making them good, in my opinion. But yeah, you gotta be cognizant of that notch, and that the phone is so tall. So I mean, I don't have small hands. I can try to give you like a little. You can see my hand; it's not small, but the weight distribution on here I didn't like with the phone being so tall. So just something to keep in mind there. Still a great phone. I still don't have a problem recommending it. They did finally get back to me on that RMA. For the money, you're getting a great phone. Camera's good, just not as good as the Xiaomi. If that's your hold up, yeah. I wanted to get this out there because a lot of people haven't heard of Xiaomi. They are big, just not in the US. And man, I'm really liking this phone the more that I use it. And it's a reasonable price. It just came out a couple months ago. But it's a reasonable price, $500 to $600 for a flagship phone, not $1,000 or $900. So, yeah, there's my winner. If you guys disagree, let me know what you think down below. If you've heard of Xiaomi or you're curious about them, I mean, their thing is kind of budget phones. If you're looking at a phone even cheaper than $500, I would definitely take a look at Xiaomi and also Huawei. I mean, you can find a used OnePlus on a website like swappa.com. Maybe a OnePlus 5T or something like that. But yeah, that pretty much wraps this one up. Hopefully I didn't rant too much and I kept this concise. I knew I wouldn't keep it short as we're sitting at about 23 minutes now. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below and I'll respond to it if I can. Anyway, hope this helps. Have a good one.